Guys, we are finally putting the lift in the Jeep. I am keen as. Let's get it going. Now there's a couple of different kits you could buy if you were to buy a Jeep, because they're solid diff front and rear and coil front, leaf rear. I don't know, they're pretty good, man. Pretty much like a capable 76 series. There's a couple different lifts you can choose from. I went with the Iron Rock Off-Road 3-link. So, comes with the long arm kit. So, originally I was going to do the silver brand, I can't remember, man. It's got Y-link front suspension, or front arms. Probably not too bad. Yeah, probably not too bad, but people reckon that they've been bought out by another company. They're being made in China now, but everywhere I read, the Rock Link was the choice. So I was even thinking about getting half of the kit from this other mob and then going for just the 3-link front, because they do a full leaf pack for the rear for the lift, while on the Iron Rock Off-Road, unless you do the conversion for the 4-link rear, which they do if you got the cash to splash, they just do a helper leaf. I'm not too sure how good leafs can flex really good if you have a good setup. So hopefully we get a good setup on this. I'll show you what we're doing anyway. So, tyres, I'm in the middle of filming the rear bar. You guys will see that soon enough. So tyres, wheels and tyres will be these steel ones. Nitto trail grapplers, literally bought them off me mate. Long old front control arms, new center brace. So we got a full new support to hold that trans and cross member up. No, the trans and transfer case. We opted for the quick link unclippable sway bar. Hopefully that keeps us out of trouble. That's a transfer case drop, and that hopefully will stop us needing a double cardan, I can't remember the word, tail shaft. So you got double unis, because the angle's pretty wild. So you can get a little bit of tail shaft vibration, which is not what we're going for. So hopefully those bit of a transfer case drop just fixes that angle a little bit. It's supposed to. I did opt for the Bilstein 5100s, I think they are, or I don't want to say the wrong thing here. I think they're 5100s. Front springs, as you can see, drop box shackles. So I've went for they're made from Iron Man Off-Road. They're from America. Cost a fortune to get here. Pretty, like, all this stuff would be so cheap if you lived in the States. This is absolutely not a budget lift kit if you live in Australia. Shipping and import fees smashes you, as well as our dollars weak as at the moment. I think they were just about $500 alone just for those. It really hurt me not just to make them here, but they look like pretty good quality bit of kit. So it's nice to support a small sort of business over there. That's you know, they're doing a good job. So those will actually sit in where your leaf spring sits. That's the other option. There's ones where you can weld in. Well, these ones bolt in to where your leaf spring sits. The big plate up the side, so you got these in your leaf box, and then you got the big plate, and that actually catches all those bolts that bolt into your subframe from where the toe ball bolts in. So they're a pretty solid bit of kit, as well as giving you an extra little bit of lift, because those new shackle locations are about 1.5 inches lower. So we get a little bit extra lift in the rear, and that's important because we are running RG Colorado leaf springs. That'll be the biggest sort of tricky thing to work out. They just like by like a millimeter don't fit into the shackle they've provided us. So a little bit of a flap attack with the flappy disc will sort that out. Did have to get a right hand drive track bar. They call it a track bar on the Jeep. pretty much a panhard rod for the front. So that was actually picked up through Iron Rock Off-Road. They, you know, I said they're shipping to Australia, and he said, hey man, do you need the right-hand drive track bar, because they're not reversible. So that was really good. I'm stoked that he picked that up and changed it for no extra fee. Well, the other mob I was going to go through in Victoria wanted an extra about $250 for that track bar. So, you know, I don't know what goes there. You just can't ask, I don't know. Anyway, and that's pretty much it, guys. So I'm keen as to rip this in. It's going to be a little bit of mucking around, getting them Colorado leaves to sort of sit where we want them. Shackle, might have to make like a boomerang shackle to make it fit nicely. But I think that's enough talking. Let's rip into the Jeep. Now apparently the first thing we want to do is get this front 3-link organised. So we'll grab that big old beefy brace they give us, as well as the arms. There's a little bit of DIY bolting together. Those it's like a weird swivel knuckle in there. So we'll get that pulled out, maybe put aside, and we'll put that together. So we pissed everything else off for the moment. We might actually put it as it's going to go in the car. So this is not a mirror image. You got this little flat hole on this side. It'll be the Australian passenger side, mate. We've got our one of these braces has a top and a bottom. That's because your 3-link bottom arm is going to go in, your lower control arm. The upper control arm is going to go on the top, which leaves our last one over here. Now, as we said before, to hopefully correct our vibrations if we get any, we are going to be running these transfer case drop little plates there that they supply with you. And we've got our 3 arms. Obviously, big one at the fork is going to be our top, goes up to the top of the pumpkin. We've got our left and right arms. I might just leave them there for the moment. Now we got these big old eyelets on these 2 control arms here. We want to screw them out of these big old things here. I might just add, this kit came really quickly. Like 5 days from, I think it come from Minnesota in 5 days, man. COVID delays, like Australia Post tries to tell me that they're having shipping delays from across the bloody Brisbane River because of COVID. Iron Rock got this to me in 5 days from Minnesota. It was like 4 boxes, man. Weighed like 60 kilos. Nah, not 60. Bro, how long is this thread? Holy moly! But I will say that Iron Rock's shipping estimator sucks, because it cost me like an extra $500 to get it here. I even tried the old oh man, I don't have any money. Tried to give them like a sob story and they weren't having it. So it was like, nah bro. So they got it here in 5 days, so there's that going for them. That's pretty impressive. Bit of an odd thing. I've never seen something like this. We've got our ball, some nylon, I assume it's nylon, some more nylon, some washers, a whole bunch of little bolts and a grease nipple. Pretty much it, guys. Just gonna have to torque these up when we're finished. Alrighty guys, it's a new day. I finished both of these, put them together. Second one went together exactly the same as the first one, except I didn't forget that washer and that. But we do have the third one to do, which goes to your top of your pumpkin on your diff. Creates your 3-link, and that one's a little bit different to put together, so we will film that one as well. We got to rip that old cross member out and chuck this new one in, so probably get cracking on that today. Once that's in, we pretty much put all that front suspension in that. So yeah, rip it in on that. The main difference with this one is that the whole thing is smaller for a start. The races are a little bit different, obviously smaller, and instead of having nuts and bolts, you have threads on either side. So, you know, they're gonna be sort of like that. So this one goes into that one goes into that one, you know. So, that being said, goes in there pretty nicely. We're just going to set that on that pole again. Go, starting to bite. So as you guys seen, we just lifted the Jeep up to a reasonable working height, which is pretty comfortable. Now this is the normal factory cross member to hold that gearbox and transfer case up, and we've got a bit of a bash plate here to protect that transfer case. Hey, you're gonna lift it higher? Nah. You guys can see these factory lower control arms are quite short. They go to this brace to style you off the subframe, and that new subframe that new cross member we're putting in has those brackets, so we'll have plenty of extra arm there to get that good articulation. So we will have to cut these off for the arms to get their full range of movement. And that should be see it. Oh, that should be coming off. Hopefully the old jack handle holding the transfer case up is enough, otherwise we're going to know about it pretty quick. Tight fit, guys. Wow, fair amount of dirt in there. And it says, I had a look at the instructions before, it says to pull these studs out. Now, I don't know if I've got the right size nuts for that. I'm tempted to go get the vice grips, but I don't want to stuff the threads up and then we'll be stuck with stuffed threads in a stud that doesn't come out. So we're going to have a look at what we've got lying around and try and get it out. So in the kit Iron Rock give you, they actually... You're jumping? Wow! They actually give you 2 nuts and they fit on that stud. I'm pretty sure they're for the subframe bolts. The bolt, you know, the subframe onto those wings. But they'll do nicely for us. They'll do nicely for us to remove these studs, hopefully. Double nutting it. So the top one's on there, putting one on underneath. We're going to grab the top one with the spanner and hopefully pull that stud out. Not happening. Nah. Sometimes they both thread together. It's a bit of a pain. Might go get another 17 or something. Yeah, man. You all good? Grabbing the steel for some reason. Maybe that's why it's so hard. Yeah, it's being a bit of pain, so I'll just skip to when I got it out. Now I'm gonna let you in on a secret. These studs are not coming out, right?
Yeah.
So this one is just not coming out at all.
Yeah.
Our driver's side, and the passenger one is spinning. So I have a feeling it's stuck to the thread. If there must be some sort of captive nut in there or something, and that's actually broken off the subframe. So we are definitely going to mount these wings just using those studs. And this one will be the interesting one, but that thread is half cooked now. No thread lock like cross thread. Yeah, she's spinning in there for sure. For sure, guys. I'm going to try and get this stud on, guys. I'm not going to film it because I don't know how long it's going to take. We'll be back soon. Good news, guys. Good news. Got the dog. It has taken some time to get it, but I was looking, man, I just wasn't happy with the stud. Like, I just wasn't happy with it being in there. So I just ended up flogging it with a hammer, to be honest. I was just gonna, because I was sure that broke off. Like I said, I was sure that nutset broke off, but I mustn't have. I just hit it with a hammer. I was going to drive the thing into the chassis rail and wait for it to pop out on a trail, and I was going to tap a new hole. I flogged it with a hammer, and it was enough to come loose. So obviously when that one come out, you know, we sensed a bit of weakness and there was no chance the other one wasn't coming out. She was a little bit harder. She ended up having to get a nut welded on it, which is still hot as. Still hot as, we'll just leave it at that. But we got him out, so delay over. Let's get this cross member in. Now unfortunately my suspicions were correct and it has ripped that thread out of that hole. So I'm not too sure what we're going to do yet, but in the meantime they do say to drill. There is already a hole here which we'll use, which is already nearly the size. It's already the size of the tap. So we're just going to tap this. Just like that, guys. So guys, I'm halfway through. Thought I'd better film it. What we're doing to about this stuffed thread over here. We are just driving a big tap into it. M12. So that'll probably be it for tonight, guys. I do have to chop and grind some things. I just noticed then there's a little bit of weld sticking up underneath that little like wing off that cross brace. So I have to buzz that down, and it's way too late for that sort of stuff. So tomorrow, Arvo, I'll be pulling that off, grinding it down, and hopefully we'll fit these control arms. Taking a little bit longer than I thought it would. Those two studs really slowed us down, but I'm glad that they are out. And the only other thing is having a look at that transfer case from this angle. Is that why everyone's always breaking transfer cases? Because there's no support on there anymore? You just definitely have to protect that somehow as well. Because I smacked the shit out of that support at Glasshouse. It was actually bent, and I was touching the transfer case. I had a little rattle every time I turn the car off. So definitely have to protect that transfer case. There's always photos in the Jeep pages and that of broken ones. But for tonight, guys, that'll be it. See you tomorrow. Yeah, guys, it is the following afternoon. It is 4:30 already. So less talking this RP, I reckon, and we're just gonna rip into it. Now guys, as you've seen, we did just smack that cross member in and it is staying in It has those cap head bolts with the nuts on the top. They are thread locked in. The rest has been torqued up to spec. You may have seen me using the big old 3/4 inch or whatever it is, inch and something, big girl. Torque wrench with an adapter, that is fine to do regardless of what your internet heroes have told you. As long as that adapter is not made of a impact material, so something that goes on an impact sort of, you know, rattle gun style thing, because that metal is actually softer and it will give you an incorrect torque. But that doesn't really matter because you've seen that we also welded it as well. And I was really controversial on that, so I wasn't going to weld it. And I was sort of thinking about it, if those bolts do rattle loose, we're going to lose the front diff. So chuck a couple welds on it. They're only about inch strips. You've seen those flux core, they look gross. They will be fine. They're not going to get filmed because they look gross. While we got the torque wrenches out, I've got my baby torque wrench here. 70 inch-pounds. Very important to pay attention to the specs that you get when you are building anything, an engine, bloody gearbox, suspension, inch-pounds, foot-pounds, you know, Newton meters on this side, Newton meters, but I typically work off the foot-pounds, so just pay attention to inch-pounds, obviously a lot smaller. Now that those bolts are all torqued up to spec, we are just about ready to install them on the Jeep. We do have to set a rough length for them, so we'll thread those ends in and out to get our length, but we do have to remove these arms, so they're only held on by a bolt there and a bolt there, and we do have to cut this brace off. I don't know how exciting that's going to be for you guys, and this camera needs a charge after a little bit of use like that. Didn't charge long enough the other day, so I might just put you on charge and rock over there, rip them off, and come back to you guys once those are cleaned up. I think the first thing we're going to try and attack is these top shock bolts, or shock nuts, whatever you want to call them. Every shock I've ever undone, you have to hold this, hence the flat spot on it, and otherwise the whole shock will spin. Hold that while undoing the nut. It's not that big of a deal. Sometimes when you get the nut up to here, you got to get some pointy nose pliers to get, you know, in that gap, just to hold it for that last little bit. But we will see how we go and get it undone. Went to option 2 to stop the old shock spinning. Don't do that if you care, obviously, but pipe wrench on the shock itself and socket on top. Easy peasy pipe wrench, and job done. Wash her off, and there'll be a rubber grommet. Oh man, and it is stuck. So maybe being an older four-wheel drive that's been used as a four-wheel drive, those nuts are a little bit harder than the average nuts. So there's another way to do it for you. I might even do the other side just like that, just because it's so much faster. Now, like I said before, guys, we don't care about these shockies, so let's not waste time. And we'll just, oh, it'll break free anyway. We'll just put this pipe wrench on the shock, hold it there with our knee, and undo this top nut. Of course you could use a rattle gun if it's not laid as. Cheap pipe wrench, guys. You'll use it heaps. So this is it. Bilstein shocks, springs, sway bars, sway bar disconnects. Gave her a quick sweep because rolling around in the dirt ain't too fun. Now they do supply some new little rubber bushings and whatnot. Pretty neat and tidy, that's nice. So they'll go on to, you got some sleeves as well for the bottom here. Looks like you have to reuse this bolt. There's a little two mounting bolts that bolt the bottom down here. So we'll have to reuse them by the looks of things. Hopefully there's enough light in there for you guys to see that. So you got a nut and bolt here, nut and bolt there. That is on the bottom of that shock. Now we're going to have to use that little bracket with the nut and bolts, slide it through the bottom of the new shocks there. So we'll make sure we don't break that getting it out. Before I went ahead and tried to rip these out, I thought I'd just double check to make sure we definitely don't get new ones, and we get new ones. How good is that? But we did get these two pressed into these shockies last night. That's what took most of my night up. Ended up pulling the rubber out of the shock, putting this little, you know, the new brackets in and pushing the whole lot back through the shock. I have no idea if that's what you're supposed to do, but that's the only way I could possibly see it happening. So right now it's a time to lift the Jeep up and see if that track bar and these control arms stop us from being able to put these new springs in. Look out. Look out. Get the springs out. Can't see those new ones going in. Scary?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
That's it.
No, it's not.
That's it.
No.
Scary.
No, it's scary.
It's scary.
Now guys, I just checked the camera and it said not recording, so I don't know if that recorded or not. But we've pulled out the lower control arm on the driver's side and we've undone the bolt. We've undone the bolt for that passenger side upper control arm. We're just gonna get that back one. This driver's side upper control arm is being a pest because that's spinning. So we'll just weld that into place and rip that nut off. Doesn't really matter that retainer stays there or not. Actually, it does, because that has to come off. So we'll just tack it. Hopefully break the tack later. So that's where we're at. I don't know if that recorded before, but we'll just keep on going. Lots of little things to slow you down. Perfect. Cut that tack off, guys. Pull the pain. this is our track bar mount. We do get a replacement one of these, and that is our track bar. I would assume that this is also called the panhard rod. I don't know why on all the Jeep pages it's called the track bar, but it is, so we'll just call it the track bar. But it's pretty much just a panhard rod. Bit of a comparison here of the old setup versus the new setup. And as I said before, guys, just got to make sure you get the right-hand drive track bar if you have a right-hand drive Jeep, obviously. It's pretty important. We might set that track bar up first. Well, we might bolt the brace in, then we'll set the track bar up. I think Iron Rock do give you a rough distance to go off, center to center. So we'll set that and try to reinstall it. Now the instructions say that we need a minimum of 1 inch thread engagement. Minimum. I don't know how we're going to go with all the anti-seize on here, but it's 10, 25 mil. If we're in past that black line, we're stuffed. It also says for our lift, 33 3/8 inches center to center. Now I have a metric. Convert 847 millimeters. $847. Center to center. Now it's not going to be perfect. And there, 847. We got to go in a fair way. Center to center. Honestly, 840. We're probably at 850 right now. Sorry guys, but the camera did die. I knew it was going to die. I was hoping to get it in beforehand, and having only the one camera, yeah, I just had to put it on charge. So I do apologise for that. Also, don't really have the luxury of time to wait too long, so I did go make some lunch, try and give the camera some time to charge. I did put the track bar in. Just lifting it, one click on the hoist was enough to pretty much line it up perfectly, to be honest, and a little couple taps with the hammer just ended up getting it in there. I wasn't really keen on tapping with the hammer, but worked out in the end. I haven't torqued it up yet, so I think first things first, we better go around and torque all those nuts and bolts up. And we'll probably pull this brake line off because it is nearly out of reach with the hoist that little bit higher.
Oh.
You're helping. To disconnect this brake line, we're just going to take one of these welding clamps that I had laying on there over the bench. Doesn't seem to be working very good, but it does work. And we're just going to clamp the line to try and just not lose so much fluid. Using this style of clamp, you do have to line it up a little bit better. Look at 14. Okay. Can Daddy have his sockets, please? Sockets? Hey, sockets right there. Heavy, yeah. Thank you. Hey, it is another new day. That was Saturday last time you guys were filming, or last time I was filming. Last time you guys would have seen. That was a Saturday and my memory card is full again. My 4 SD cards full. It's crazy. I really gotta start trying to pump these videos out, guys. I'm a bit crook, so you know, hence the voice, etc. Today we'll set the bars, we'll set the length on the bars. I did get that passenger, the driver's side, our driver's side bar in over the other side, so we'll set the length on these bars to a rough length that Iron Rock Off-Road do give us, and we will chuck them in and see how it's sort of looking. So guys, just would have seen me finish up those lower control arms on the passenger side there. That's that the upper and lower control arm on the passenger side. The smaller bolts do go down to the diff and the larger bolts do go up to the subframe, and there's a small bolt for up the top. That's for your top control arm. Just pay attention to that it doesn't rub on your fuel lines. On mine it was rubbing on the fuel lines. You can't have fuel line rubbing on a bolt at all. Right? Like it'll wear through as the vibrations going across dirt. You can't have fuel rubbing on anything. So just pay a good amount of attention to that and try to make sure that bolt doesn't push onto that fuel line. As well as that, I did just go ahead and do a really quick rough alignment for the front, pretty much just to drive this to the tyre shop. I just threaded them tyre rod ends out a little bit, you know, get the wheels semi-straight, really rough. I'm not interested in doing that myself. I'll leave that up to the experts. And, you know, they don't cost that much, so for the effort involved, I'd just rather have it all done correct and then, you know, it's done. I did as well flog those. There was some bolts. You may have seen one of them. I chopped the head off it because they just weren't coming out. But I just to give them a good hard time with the hammer then, and we did get both of them out. So before we go any further, we will chuck that sway bar, quick release pins in, and try to get the sway bar in a good spot. After that, I'd like to set the front up, set the caster angle and all that. I have a feeling that diff come back a long way. I have a feeling we're gonna have to move. I have a feeling we're gonna push the whole diff forwards. We'll see what we're looking like. Yeah, when we get to it. Yeah, I have a feeling the whole diff's going to get pushed forward, so it'll just involve threading those rod ends out of the control arms to push that diff forwards to a good spot, and then obviously that upper control arm threading in and out will control the caster angle. All pretty simple stuff, guys. If you're not comfortable with that, tyre shop will be able to do that as well. I don't think it should be too bad. We do have an angle finder here. Digital angle finder is even better. But I think I will go ahead and do the rear first before we try and set the front up. So everything height-wise, it'll be sweet, because the whole reason of getting the whole rear bar done and doing the rear is to get all that weight on the back, but the front height won't change. So I reckon we go chuck the rear shocks in, get those new Colorado leaf springs in, and sort of see where we're at with that. We might be a little bit of mucking around with pulling in and out leaf packs. We'll just have to wait and see. But like I said, we'll rip into doing these sway bars right now, sway bar links, and get that sway bar on a reasonable angle. Alrighty, it is the next afternoon, and the old health situation hasn't improved too much, but you know, we can't go waiting around forever. Don't have the luxury of time all the time. We're not going to sit in the house and let a little bit of a flu stop us from doing this shit, so let's keep going. Let's just do the rear today. Let's rip the bloody shocks out, let's rip the springs out, let's just rip it all out and replace it with the new stuff. See how much stuffing around we do have to do. Let's just get into it. So guys, I'm just having a quick look at the setup we got going on here. Now those leaves are about 1.5 inches longer. Man, I got some dirt in my eye too. It sucks dick. Anyway, these leaves are about 1.5 inches longer than the XJ leaves. As far as front bolt hole goes, they're pretty much the same size. Go straight in, all good. Biggest bummer is, yeah, it pushes that diff so far back. So got a couple of options, can't really make a decision yet. We'll do the other side, probably won't film it, you know, same as this side. Just rip that leaf out, chuck the Colorado leaf in. Those little stubs that go into your axle, you'll probably have to drill the axle out to the like a tiny bit, like a mil bigger, and then they'll go straight into the axle. That's a Dana 35 still. Probably won't be there for much longer. But anyway, the Iron Man rear shackle boxes, they look pretty good. They just pick up 2 bolts. I thought they were going to pick up more, but they just pick up 2 bolts off of the toe ball, which is sweet. And then the 3rd bolt that usually holds your leaf spring shackle in anyway. And it looks like the Iron Rock Off-Road shackles that got supplied in the lift kit are going to go straight into them and line up pretty nicely on those Colorado leaves. So
options will probably be either we'll see what sort of height we get out of it, just with as it is, you know. I'll probably undo the tail shaft because it's very tight. Yeah, it's very tight, so we might have to get it lengthened by maybe an inch or two, probably an inch or two, and or recess them leaf springs so we can put them in a press and get a little bit more curve out of them, and that'll sort of, if we're still low, that'll raise the Jeep and bring the diff forwards because we're taking a little bit of distance out of it. But we're also adding height, so might not do too much. But anyway guys, yeah, that'll probably be the options. There'll be a little bit of mucking around to do with that rear shackle when we get some weight on it, see where it's sitting, see where this height is sitting. Be worried about the tail shaft. I think it's nearly fully extended there. When we take the weight off of it, yeah, it's just a lot of things to check. So guys, I just snipped up that other side. I had a quick bite to eat for dinner as well, so we're a little bit later than what I thought it would be. We'll chuck these wheels on. Probably definitely looks like we're going to need a longer tail shaft. It'd be a really good time to go and do that slippery yoke eliminator kit with a nice sort of drive shaft there, but we are time poor and I just don't think, it's just not going to happen. We need that. We can get that done relatively quickly, and price, man, stuff coming from the States is crazy. So as you'd expect, pulling those other bolts out the other side, we did have the tow ball and the fuel bash plate drop. That's okay, because I wanted to put a trailer plug on that tow ball anyway, so that's worked out alright. And I just really didn't want to pull it off, so sort of like it made me pull it off, so we'll have what I wanted originally anyway. Just being lazy at the end of the day. Just chuck these wheels on and we'll have a first look at, the ride height. I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit low in the back, so we'll have to think about what we see, but we'll see what it looks like. So guys, this is our first look at the Jeep, fully lifted. Got the spare on the back. You guys will see. So just a old shitty spare, just to add some weight. It's definitely not enough weight. Now, as you can see, it's very deceiving, front to rear. The front guard is actually a lot higher than the rear, but the rear does have to come up a little bit. Hey guys, it is a new day. It is the next afternoon. I thought we weren't going to get out here, but we're out here. Health situation has improved considerably. Who knew a little bit of sleep would do that for you? A whole bunch of chili fixes you up. So we'll rip these wheels off today. I'm going to try to fix that lift. We do need about an inch of extra lift in the back. But sort of looking at options, quick options. We need quick options. Cheap would be good too, but quick especially. So I think the first thing we're going to try is probably run over to my mate's place with, we'll split this leaf pack apart, run over there and try and re-index these leaves. I'm not too sure how much extra lift we're going to get out of it. It'll be a bit of a trial and error thing. No, I'm not too sure. We'll just have to, trial and error. So we'll rip these wheels off, split these packs apart, and I did actually, on the way home I got some longer 12mm bolts too, so we'll smack them up through the subframe, get all that tow ball and that back on, and we will be away. Let's get these wheels off. Now guys, we just pulled those leaves out and we got them sitting here nicely on some ram board. That is just to trace. That's just to trace the outline of these leaves so we can get a rough indication of how far we are going to stretch those bloody individual leaf springs. Now we are only going to be probably doing this one and the second one. Definitely not going to be doing these load leaves. I mean, the first one and second one should keep us out of trouble. If we have to do the third one, we have to do the third one. We are looking, I think we did say before, we are chasing about an inch of lift in the back here. So we'll trace this along here and see how much extra leaf, well, yeah, see how much extra leaf lift we get out of it. Sorry guys, just had some stuff going on. I couldn't film that very briefly, but we didn't do a whole lot. Just did split that first leaf pack down the center there, and we've just marked from the center outwards so we get a nice even, you know, we can't start from up here and down there. So we start from the center every 100 and we've marked a mark. And I'll run over to Jolie's, chuck that in the press, and we'll see what sort of extra curvature we get out of it. Hopefully enough to lift the Jeep. Like, you know, really hoping we can get this Jeep level with just doing this. I don't know if it's gonna work. You wouldn't believe it if I told you guys, but it is the next afternoon and we have, well, last night went a little bit later than I expected. So I did just come home and bloody have dinner and went to bed actually. So today we gotta put these leaf packs back together. And I got a treat for you. I've already done one, so let's have a look at it. Bloody, there's our last mark there. So, bolts in the center on our line there. Oh, sort of. We've come up, you know, considerable amount. That would be about, that'd have to be about 2 inches center to center, maybe more, probably a little bit more. And on the back here, I'd say a comfortable 3 inches on the back there, center hole to center hole. So, very curious what happens when that goes into the Jeep. If that steel is just going to relax to its position it's used to, it might do. If that does happen, the next cheap, fast option will probably be some lift blocks, which I'm not overly fond of. I am sweating a little bit too much for this, but guys, that's looking better already. That's it, I reckon. That's it, guys. I'm stoked with that.
So recessing those leaves, man, that gave us a heap of extra lift, eh? Oh. Honestly, our shackle angle at the back right now is probably a little bit too vertical. So I might move that bolt forwards 1 bolt. And that'll probably fix that shackle angle. Honestly, that rear is probably half an inch too high right now, if I'm totally honest. I'm wondering whether we load it fully, like put the rooftop tent on and everything, it might actually level itself out. Maybe that's fine. Guys, I'm stoked with that. I'm stoked with that, eh? I am pretty happy with that. I didn't expect that much lift. I really didn't expect to get that much out of it. One more look at this, guys. I'm so stoked with that. I am stoked with that ride height. That's unreal. And I will probably see us again when we're adjusting the front arms, locking them all up. So honestly it'll probably be tomorrow by the time I buckle the back down, because it's still pretty simple. It doesn't have to, a little bit of adjustment. Not too much adjustment though, so might just buckle all the back down and call it a day. Go spend some time with my boy and catch up with you tomorrow. Cheers for that. G'day guys, it is another day and we're adjusting some stuff on the Jeep today. I just got a small window of time, not a whole lot, so I reckon if we, at the bare minimum, let's get that sway bar sorted. We might just have a look at the lengths of those control arms. We'll leave it there, we'll see how we go. So nothing flash today to have a look at this. They recommend a 10-degree angle, I'm pretty sure, for the sway bar. So we're just going to use our little, nothing too flash, just a manual angle finder for that. Stick him on the sway bar, adjust him in, done. Now I was telling Fibs 15 degrees is what they recommend. So we'll chuck him on there, just like this, guys. Bring it up. Now this does get a little sticky sometimes. That's what we're going to do right there. 15. And I'm just going to wind those bars up on the front here until they match the bottom. It's so simple. Hey guys, it's Monday afternoon and it's after work, but good things have happened. We've got some brake lines waiting for us when we got home. That's cool. Sorry guys, my bloody SD card filled up again. Filling them up faster than I'm editing. I'm not really editing anything at the moment. Honestly, I've got like videos from 12 months ago sitting there. So bottom control arms are pretty well in line now. I'm happy enough with them anyway. We're about 1.5 degrees out on the caster, so I stuck the old angle finder underneath there on the suggest right here. It's on the bottom of the, what do they call them, the sea or something like that. And as you can just see there, we're just 7 degrees, and they recommend 5.5. So we'll get that up control arm undone and turn it and roll this diff forwards and probably button everything up. Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's alright. We do have a new bush coming for the Dana 30 up here. I really wanted that in before I did the front because it might change the caster angle, but it's not going to be really difficult to change if we have to. It'll just be, you know, double handling. So it's caster angle finished, guys. I think I went in, I turned that upper control arm about, I turned that upper control arm about 4 times in total. I went out 3 and then out another 2, then back in 1. So that's pretty much it for the lift kit. I'll have to do them bolts up tight, and there's little extra bolts to clamp those control arms down on those wedges on the threads. So we'll put them in, torque them up to spec. We'll have to take this thing for a quick spin to see if we got any vibration.
Daddy.
Hey mate.
Ouch.
Yeah, you're in the Jeep. Rear drive shaft, we'll have to have something done about it. It's, yeah. Put your tongue away. We are...
Daddy.
Shush please. Daddy's... No, stop. Stop. Rear drive shaft has to have something done about it. We don't have enough engagement on that on the spline anymore. I'm thinking just a hack and tap kit for my Rock Off-Road and a CV front drive shaft in the rear would be the best option. Best, quickest, easiest, just like, that's what we need. Quick, easy. So that's what justifies it as the best. I don't know exactly how far we went up in the rear, but because we are using those Colorado Leafs, but it would be a fair bit. It would be quite a bit. The front, the rear guards always sit lower than the front, and the front is, they're about level, so you know, it's about 1 inch higher for sure than the front. But that's pretty much it, guys. I'm not too sure if I'll film the hack and tap kit on this episode, or we'll just do it a little quick one. If that is it for this episode, sorry it's so choppy and took so long. Just trying to tack away at it every night, you know. And you wanna hop out? Alright, 1 second please. 1 second please. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for the lift kit. What we ended up with, not too bad. I will actually, what I will do is I'll chuck a little clip in here. We'll go test it out. We'll go test out the flex and that. We gotta chuck that in there. So won't be it. I'll get some of this data onto the computer, and when we go out, might just go out to a glass house or something local and flex her up, see what we can do without popping a drive shaft out. But thanks for watching, guys. Chuck in these a couple of clips now. Hope it helps you out. Cheers. Oh, so as promised, we're in Glassy. Just showing you the suspension. It's months later. I was just editing the video and I found the spot where I said, I'll show you the suspension. So here we are. Got Cody in the nav as well, in case something happens, like, you know, if the winch doesn't work. But yeah, we'll get into it.
Bye.